this week's edition of Hawk Talk. My name is Parker Robinson. I'm joined by Seth Moorkirky. And on my other side, we have a very special guest this week, Dr. Thomas Mitzel, president of Dickinson State University. And you've had that title for almost 2 years now. Just kind of looking back at that time, kind of what do you reflect on that?
Well, first of all, gentlemen, thank you for bringing me on the show. This is one thing I never miss when the new episodes come out, so I'm flattered to be here. I think what makes me most happy over the last 2 years, a couple of things. One is the reconnection with the community and the outreach from campus into the community, but also the community growing back into the campus. It has gone both ways, and the number of events that we've been able to hold on campus has increased tremendously over the last 2 years, and that's everybody working together very much. And our enrollment has risen for 2 years in a row. We had 6 years of falling enrollment, and that's turned around. So we've had 2 years of raising enrollments, and to me that is just amazing. And again, that's all community working together, people talking well about the institution, students feeling comfortable when they arrive here, feeling comfortable within Dickinson and wanting to remain. And so it really takes, the old adage, it really takes a village.
Yeah. And you mentioned the community and all the support that they bring. On the show, we focus on athletics. One of those big things was that flight to Oregon for the football team. Not an easy task, bringing a couple 100 people out there. Talk about the support of the community there.
Well, that event in and of itself was completely amazing. So we were thrilled to make the national playoff for the third year in a row. Pete Stanton is just an incredible coach, and the team was wonderful in so many ways, on the field, off the field. But to get back to the Nationals 3 years in a row is very difficult to do. 3-year conference champions. The great enthusiasm tempered a little bit by the cost of the trip. And we had to fly, so it was $150,000. There is no state appropriations for that to occur. And we had to reach out to the community to help with that, to make sure that our players, our coaches, and our fans could get to Southern Oregon for that game. And in less than 24 hours, the community stepped forward to make that a reality. And I thank Coach Stanton for doing the majority of the work under that area, and then just the community members who stepped up was amazing.
Yeah, and they stepped up not only, because they wanted to go, but they're sponsoring seats for players, sponsoring seats for coaches, correct. So great work there.
But I think much of that too, and I have to give a lot of credit to the players. They have stepped into the community and really made it their own. They did over 300 hours of community service, football team alone this year. Stepping into classrooms, reading to kids, going out with businesses, doing different things, helping where they need to help. And they don't need to be doing that. That's all volunteer work. But they've done that, and they enjoy doing that, and the community can see that. So then when they need something, the community is so ready to turn around and give that aid.
Yep. And the football team wasn't the only team to see success. Cross country, a sport you're familiar with, had that again, going back to nationals again this year. How much spirit does 2 teams, 3 teams going to nationals bring to a campus?
Well, 3 teams went to nationals. 3 out of the 4 teams went to nationals this fall. And I always tell the story that when seniors graduate and you ask them where they did the majority of their learning within the campus, this is a national number. About 25% of they say about 25% of what they learned came from the classroom. The rest comes from the rest of the campus experience. Athletics, academic clubs, social clubs, internships, community work, and athletics is a big part of that. So to have our team successful is wonderful. I argue that the NAIA level is the last level of the true scholar athlete. And one statistic, which I think we're all very proud, last year across campus, the GPA of our students was 3.0, which every campus can kind of set that where they wish. Where we're extremely happy is that the GPA for our athletes was also 3.0. So not only are they performing at an extremely high level physically, but they're not shirking their academics. They're not getting a free pass on their academics. And in fact, knowing Coach Stanton on occasion, I know that the football team got back at 3 and they had to be in 8 o'clock classes. And that is the way we should be doing these types of things. That's part of education.
Yeah. And as we move into the new year here, 2018, a big year for Dickinson State University, the centennial year. How do you look forward to celebrating?
Well, to me, celebrating the centennial, 100 years of education, is not just a campus event either. And we've already been talking to city leaders and regional leaders, and this is a celebration for Western North Dakota. Yeah. Now, one of the stories of which I read in the history of DSU was over the holiday break, at the semester break, we had a huge snowstorm and students were unable to get back to the train station, which at the time still carried passengers. The community members stepped up, brought sleighs, brought everything they could, and got students out to the train so that they could go home and spend the holiday with their families. So you don't have DSU without the support of the community, and the community is not as well off without DSU. So we really want to make sure that we are celebrating 100 years of history for the region of Western North Dakota that has always shown support for the university.
Right. Celebrating with the community, celebrating with the alumni as well, bringing them back onto campus. There's been some changes on campus, some different things operating in the past year specifically. Kind of explain what all went into that.
We did several things. One is I say we're space rich. We're down in our enrollment. We would like to, we're at about 1425. Our goal is to get back to 2,000, which I think is very healthy. But because we are down in our enrollment, we have many buildings that don't need to be utilized right now. And for the past several years, they have been regardless. And we decided just not to do that anymore. So we did close a couple of buildings. I know there was some student unrest on this. I think things are working much better this year once they saw we were not trying to disrupt the flow of programming and student life on campus. These buildings will reopen as needed. So those were some of the major changes, that we had to close some buildings as we're not using them. But we're not tearing them down, we're not raising them, we will keep them on hold. The other thing we've done is to make sure that the campus is friendly for the students and for parents. My goal is to make sure that if you're up at 2 a.m. in the morning, it's because you're studying extremely hard. And maybe you're mad at some certain professor for too much work, and I will always back the professor on that. But what we wanted to make sure is that student services were easy to find and in a location that was beneficial. So we created a one-stop shop in May Hall, and it's really on the first and second floor. The first floor is all the non-academic items that you need to do as a student or as a new parent of a new student coming in. You can get all of that in May Hall right now instead of the 3 or 4 buildings in which it was spread. And the second was to put all of the academic student services on the second floor of May Hall so that you, again, only have to go to one building. You know everything is going to be there. If you don't know exactly where you are going, somebody there will. And we wanted to give the bookstore or the student center back to the students. And that was an idea you prompted about 2 years ago. And it takes a little bit of time to do that, but I hope the changes that people have seen have realized that it is more student-centric, and will continue to do that. We've also partnered with a company for the university store. And with the services we need to be able to give our students and faculty with online shopping and books, and we want to keep the price down for each and every one of you, it just made much better sense to partner with an outside entity. Now, very similar to what we do with our food service, every employee who is hired will be local. So we are not taking jobs away from the local area. The management itself is national, which gives us much better pricing for textbooks, things of that nature, but all of the employee staff will be local.
Very nice. Kind of going back to that support of the community, we saw it a lot this weekend at Yuletime, a really special event, and as you talked about that night, it was one of your first events as president here.
It was. I think you were one of the few people actually listening this last weekend. It was a fairly rowdy crowd, a lot of fun, a tremendous amount of fun. We come together once a year at the end of December to celebrate what we have accomplished and where we are going. One of the things we wanted to make sure we did this year was to remind people that yes, we are at Yuletime to have fun and to enjoy each other's company, but we were also there to remember that we are in this business to support our student education and to make sure that we're giving as much of our resources as possible to give our students the best possible education. And one of the new items we did this year was to raise scholarships for a particular program, and we will choose a different program every year. This year was the Theodore Roosevelt Honors Program. All of the students, most of the students working at the event were from the Theodore Roosevelt Honors Program, and they got to mingle with the crowd and do some outreach maybe that they hadn't been able to accomplish before. But we were able to raise a very nice amount toward Theodore Roosevelt Honors Program scholarships. And that's a community just stepping forward. So I'm extremely, extremely happy about that.
Yeah, you know, we have one of those TR students with us on the set here. What is it like to be able to interact with those potential donors, and what was the support like that evening?
Yeah, that evening was very fun. It was good to see everybody out having a good time and interacting with each other. It was nice to get to put a face to, you know, the donors. Sometimes you don't really know who's giving you money and supporting you, and so to see everyone there who does that was, you know, just an incredible feeling to get to put a face, get a voice, you know, talk to whoever it was.
Yeah. Well, to put a close, I think we did this last time you were on. Since you're the boss, you get to ask us one question. Fire away.
Wonderful. I've been here for 2 years. I know, Parker, that you have been extremely supportive of some of the things I've done. You've also been on the protest side of some of the things I've done, for which I think is wonderful. And Seth, I did call a snow day solely for you at one point, if you remember. But over the last 2 years, what do you think has gone well with the changes, and what do you think still needs work? You have to answer both.
Okay. Well, I think that we've done a tremendous job kind of giving students opportunities to not only learn in the classroom, but practice, do what we're doing here at Hawk Talk, give them opportunities like that, expanding with partnership with the Parks and Rec Department, getting memberships to the West River Community Center, and opening up the 24/7 hour lab. I think that was huge this semester, and I think it's been definitely utilized. I think there can still be improvements to student life, to campus programming, to everything we do there.
Yeah.
And I would ask you, as you know, I meet with your group once a month, and we do a talk lunch, and I've gotten extremely valuable information every time. And I would just ask that we continue those dialogues and everything else. And that is how I find out what needs to be changed. Seth, what?
I would agree. Yeah, I think the student life has very much increased. I think, and the community support. Those are probably the two biggest things that I've seen. Is that the community is really getting involved, and we're really getting involved in the community more and more. And then the student life has really increased. I see more and more students on campus than I did 2 or 3 years ago, and I think that was the whole goal. But just like Parker said, I think there could be more increases to student life. Maybe, I know there is a variety of things, but maybe make it more known of these things, better marketing.
So I'll follow up with one more question then, because we try multiple pathways to get information to students, and yet you sit here and tell me we aren't marketing well. We're at a bit of a loss. How do we reach students who don't always check their email, who go to Facebook on occasion, but not always to the sites where we would need for you to go, who are larger into Snapchat and other social media? Where do we go to make sure we're getting our message out correctly?
Just like you said, Snapchat and Twitter. I think those are the two social media platforms to use with our generation.
And we've been increasing there, so good, we're on the right path.
Yep.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
If you have any solutions out there watching Hawk Talk, you can email myself, parker.robinson@dickinsonstate.edu. We'd love to hear your input. Well, thanks for coming on,
Gentlemen,
Dr. Mitzel.
it's been my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yep, and we'll be back talking to another cabinet member after the break.
Well, welcome back to Hawk Talk. We're here with Coach Stanton. Coach, looking back on the end of the season, how do you think it turned out, or how do you feel about the end of the season?
It was a great year. And I guess first of all, we had a great group of young men. We had one of the highest number of football players that we've ever had. You know, we really came together as a family quickly, and you know, obviously we got off to a good start by having a big win over Rocky Mountain, and it was just an enjoyable season. It just always seems to go too fast, but we had a lot of fun, and were able to win our third conference championship in a row, and that was great. But I think the journey that we went on together was very rewarding.
Yeah, and we talked about it with Dr. Mitzel a little bit. The support of the community has been huge this season. We've seen it week in, week out at the BAC, and then stepping up big in that trip to Oregon.
Yeah, it was tremendous. I mean, you just have to look at the first game against Rocky Mount, and I know Dr. Mitzel and the city partnered up to bring Thursday night, to Dickinson State on the campus, and that was just really awesome and inspiring. And when we came out of there for our Hawk Walk, and you see hundreds and close to thousands of people out there having fun, and then coming into the game and supporting our team. And that night, was probably the biggest crowd that we've ever had at the BAC that night, and it really helped us out. And like we talked about, got off to that big win. But really all year long, all of our games, we had a great tailgate atmosphere. We had tons of community support. We had several former players that came in and talked to us during the year, and we really want to include them to our program, and that was a lot of fun. And then, as you said, when we went into the playoffs, the way that our community stepped up to help us out just really says everything about the community of Dickinson and the support they have for, not only for our program, but for all the athletic departments and the entire Dickinson State family. And that was just in a 24-hour period to be able to step up, and people jumping onto the plane and going along with us, and having that family there, and having a lot of people out in the stands in Oregon was really fun to see.
Yeah, and as you kind of put a bow on the season, lots of awards given out, a handful of All-American academically, and then Tommy Cease, heck of a career and a heck of a season to finish.
Yeah, it was. We had several all-conference players and on both sides of the ball, and that's very important. And also, with Seth and others being academic All-Americans, and that's just as important to us, as guys that achieve 3.5 GPA and higher and still achieve at a high level, on the field. And then, of course, with Thomas, what a great honor for him to, be named the Conference Player of the Year, and then, go be a first-team All-American. And it's a really neat thing for our program. That's now, with Noe and Kane last year and Meyer Bond the year before, it's four All-Americans in 3 years, and that's great exposure for our program and for our school. But most importantly, it just says a lot about all those guys. And if you think of those four guys, the type of person that they are, and the students that they are, and Meyer's in graduate school, and Kane's still going with us, and Noe. I mean, it's just a really neat thing, a really neat honor for those guys.
Yeah, I agree. And looking ahead, we lost quite a few seniors, quite a few leaders from this past season. So going into the off season, how do you think we will adjust to that?
It's always hard. This is kind of a hard phase, right now, and when we finish our year and you have to say goodbye to those seniors. And of course, we had our senior banquet this last week, and our Touchdown Club, honored them at the banquet. And it's always a hard time. And when we come back in January, our guys are gone for about 30, 40 days. It gives them a chance to kind of recharge the batteries after finals and go spend some time with the families. And then really, when we come back, that's when our 2018 season starts. We start our workouts in January, and then we kind of maybe you'll never get over losing those seniors, but to help adjust. And you come into the weight room and you realize that hey, Tommy Cease isn't going to be there anymore, and Dylan Scapo and Seth Evanick are gone, and then it's just time for that next group to step up and do that. And we have 15 out of our 22 starters back, and a lot of lettermen, and a lot of guys have played, like Seth and many juniors and seniors that have been big contributors. So we're really confident with a lot of the guys we have come back. It's just going to be an adjustment, and it's just going to be one of those situations where we're going to enjoy the 2017 season, and we'll always remember that. But then we can never reminisce. To get good as a program and to stay good as a program, you can never reminisce whether something went good or bad in the past. It's all then going to be about the future. So when 2018 January hits, it'll be that new team, and it'll be time to go again with that new team.
Yeah, and another thing that goes into next year's team and the teams for years to come is that recruiting aspect. I told someone the other day it's my favorite time on Twitter because Jay Schillinger likes about 50 highlight videos, so I can go through and watch some JUCO football. Going through that, what do you guys look to do and build for?
Well, first of all, recruiting-wise, we don't lose a lot of guys, so that's going to be a little bit of a change, is that we probably can't bring as many guys in on that. But that being said, our number one priority is always locally. We have over 10 guys from Dickinson that are on our team, and then we always talk about anywhere between Bismarck and Billings in the local area, and then we reach out to Wyoming and South Dakota and North Dakota and Montana, and so that's always really the priority, and one, finding obviously good players, but two and three, finding good students. And when we talk about good students, they don't have to be a 4.0 student, but they have to be people that we know are going to go to class and they're commit themselves to their degree and that type of thing, and then good people. So that's what we're really looking for in the recruits, and then, as you mentioned, there might be junior college guys or a transfer guy that may help us, but once again, it has to be that right fit, that right person for our program, because we have a lot of good guys in our program, and we want to make sure that we have that good team chemistry going into next year.
Yeah, and stepping away from football, you had a different role on campus this year, becoming the interim AD. Talk about that a little bit, how it's been.
Yeah, it's been good. It obviously helps that I know a lot of the coaching staff, and we were able to work together very well. We had good support from Dr. Mitzel and from Ty and from our cabinet, and helping and really having a good relationship with everybody on campus. And it was once again it was a different role, and a busy role, but it's something that's worked out well. And of course, it just hasn't been myself. There's been Coach Schillinger and Coach Fleury have helped out a lot with a lot of activities and a lot of games going on, and there's just no way you can be at three places at one time. And so it's been a team effort, and that's what it has to be successful.
Yeah, and you've seen a lot of teams have success on the field, cross country going to nationals, your team going to nationals. How does that, amongst the coaches, amongst the athletic department, how does that feel when you start to build success like that?
Oh, it's tremendous. It's a great feeling for all of us. And we've talked about football, and more people maybe go to a football game than the cross country meet. But those that didn't get a chance to go to the conference cross country meet with the blowing, like we did, and Dr. Mitzel did with the blowing wind and cold, and you think talk about a football player being pretty tough. How about those cross country runners in that conference meet when it was about 19 degrees and the wind blowing hard, and they just stepped up and won a conference championship in both the men and the women, and then that's 3 years in a row on the men's side to be able to do that and go to the national level. We're really proud of them, and we goes back a little bit to a couple things. Goes back to the campus community and the campus environment. When you're successful, that's going to be contagious across the campus, and then it goes into recruiting as well. When people see we have success in athletics, then it's going to be helpful to recruit, and then also goes into the community part of it. I think it really gives our community a lot to be proud of with what goes on in our athletic department.
Yeah, and we talked about it with Dr. Mitzel a little bit, about these students not only just being great athletes, being great people, being great students, so many involved in the Theodore Roosevelt Arnold Leadership Program. How great is it to see good advocates of DSU in that way? Yeah,
that's tremendous. We're really proud of all of them, and we have a lot of our athletes in every sport involved with the TR program. And when we talk about a family in football, or a family in cross country, or family in volleyball, and they all kind of have their own family, and then the TR program gets to have their own family, where they take a lot of the classes together and they do a lot of those things together, and we expect a lot of them. But the TR students step up and do that, and I think that's very important. We push that all the time, and we say that it's great to win a conference championship in cross country and football, or whatever it is, but we always tell our athletes that our highlight of the year is when we have graduation on Friday, and that's the goal, and that's what we're pushing for, and to have these things on campus. I think it just helps with a lot of things. You're successful as a student, and then guys like you two have such an impact on the other students and motivate the other students to do well, and then I think it helps with with our retention across campus and all those type of things. I think is really a neat thing.
Yep. Well, a busy season ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Track and field starting in January, as well as wrestling, so lots of athletics, men's and women's basketball continuing forward. So make sure you check out dsubluehawks.com for the latest on all Blue Hawk athletics. Thanks to Coach Stanton for joining us. We'll be back right after this.
Life is full of many successes, achievements, stages. Every year we grow, things change, and pretty soon we realize we want and need to do more. When you're ready for that next step, Dickinson State University will get you there. Find out how at dsublue.com.
Welcome back to Hawk Talk. Another cabinet member joining us on this side. And you had a big weekend with the DSU Heritage Foundation with Yuletime. Talk about all that went into that and a lot of support from the community.
Yuletime is an event we're trying to bring back. The previous foundation ran that for about 18, 19 years. And it was a fundraiser to help scholarships, to help unrestricted accounts, to help students that are maybe traveling in those type of areas. This year we decided to change some things up, and we kept everything at the BAC. Everything was in the suites, and it was to benefit the TR program, which the TR kids, students served all the meals. They were very important to everything that happened, and we ended up raising, Dr. Mitzel did a fund a need is what it's called, and ended up raising about $17,000, $18,000 in about 3 minutes for the TR program for scholarships alone, and it was kind of the highlight of the night.
Yeah, I think another highlight of the night was the speakeasy. Talk about maybe the work that went into the success, some of the feedback you had about
I'm
that.
not sure what you're talking about. So what we did was a special event. We wanted to make it, it wasn't just a come and sit and have your dinner, and we wanted to have a fun night where people can get away and really enjoy themselves, and it was a 1920s theme. It was trying to start to celebrate our centennial. And we thought, well, let's just do another little fundraiser where we have a speakeasy downstairs. And they had to have a ticket. It was a special ticket to go downstairs, and we transformed the football locker room into a 1920s speakeasy where they had to have the passcode and walk in, and they could play some games and win some prizes down there. So it was a really neat event, and ended up raising more money for the TR program.
Yeah, and you had the support of the Dickinson home brewers down there,
Yep.
but throughout the night, a lot of different sponsors that contributed to kind of take off the cost for the foundation.
And that was something that is new for Yuletime, as we decided to look at doing some sponsors and really giving them credit for everything that they did. They helped us with our major auction items. We had about $13,000 with sponsorships, and Steffes Corporation really helped a lot, along with Red Rock Ford. So we had a lot of people that really understand how important this event is to the university and to the foundation, and really helped us out. Dr. Arnold, Jim Osmond, Dale Hansen. It was tremendous. We had a great committee that worked with us. They were there decorating. We had some student workers, such as you both were there. If you guys wouldn't have helped, we wouldn't have got it done. Students were important to this, and that's why we wanted to showcase the importance of students to this university.
Yeah,
I guess if we don't have students, we don't have a university anyway. So
a lot of scholarships for nothing, really,
There you
at that
go.
point. And we mentioned it with Dr. Mitzel and Coach Stanton, the trip to Oregon, kind of filtered through the foundation last minute. That was a pretty crazy week and a successful week at the same time.
It was. When the plan was that the football team was going to be heading a different direction, and then it came out late on Sunday, and the idea was thrown around several times, and Pete led the charge, and we were just assisting with that. It's all we did, is making sure that there was a donation to help pay for some costs, and numerous people helped pay the flight costs and other expenses associated with that. And this has been a tough year for DSU in cuts, and everybody around the state. In the way that we had parents and the way we had other donors really step up and keep that cost extremely low. It was vital to that whole trip, and making sure that we had a good showing out there.
Yeah, and, we talked about it with Dr. Mitzel as he kind of wraps up his second year in the office of president. Your second year at the DSU Heritage Foundation, looking back at 2017, how successful was it?
It was really successful. I mean, you look at, we moved into the foundation house. We have our accounts that are starting to grow at a very fast pace because of our endowments are growing. We have people that are walking into that building. We probably see 8 to 10 people new a day just walking in to say hi. our communication has improved. All of our scholarships are getting stronger, and it's going to continue to get better. Is it where we need to be at? No, not close. We still have a 5-year, 15-year, and a 30-year plan, and we're going to continue to make that plan work. We're going to continue to evolve that plan and go in the direction that we need to go in order to make sure that when I'm gone, you guys are gone, this foundation and this university are strong as ever, and the scholarships continue to work, and maybe we can find 2 workers as good as you guys in 25 years. So,
Thank you.
Well, I'm flattered. But looking ahead at the centennial year, it's a big one for the foundation. As you know, you celebrate, you look back at all that was DSU over the first 100 years. What's planned ahead?
There's a lot planned. DSU Centennial really was kicked off at homecoming this year. We released the flag. We let everybody know when the events are. We have a huge event over Rough Rider Days in June of 2018. We're asking everybody to come back. We're expecting right around 7,000 to 8,000 people for that weekend. We have hotels that are involved. We have businesses that are involved. We're partnering with Best Friends Mentoring right after the Rough Rider Days parade, and really having a full campus involvement where the buildings are open. There's tours. There's everybody. The students are going to be active, making sure that they know the purpose of what the university is doing now. The departments are out there. They're doing different types of projects to explain, hey, this is where we were at. This is where we are now. There'll be people walking around in attire from the 20s, and then everything that's going to promote what happened during those events. So we're really excited about that, promoting that, pushing that as much as possible. It's been hard. It's been really hard with the budget crunch for the university, with the budget for the foundation. We've raised a lot of scholarship dollars. We don't have a lot of expendable dollars, or what we call unrestricted dollars. So we have to make sure that we do things right, and we're promoting as cheap as possible, but we have to continue to talk to people. And then homecoming of 2018 is a huge thing. Also, we're asking another bunch of individuals that maybe couldn't come in the summer to come back at that time. Enjoy the football game, enjoy the week of activities. We'll have several golf tournaments. We'll have all sorts of activities happening. And just to reconnect with the university, see where they're at. We're not asking for donations. We're asking, come back and see where we're at. Remember your time. This was a big time. 20 years from now, we hope you guys come back and say, this is a great time in my life. And I want to make sure that I stay connected with DSU. And that's important to everybody. Remember where you were at, how you can help the university. And everybody thinks, oh, you run the foundation, you just want to check. No. We'd love to have you just call us and tell you, you just had a baby. We'd love to just stay in contact. We'd love to just have you, if you want to volunteer and help us do numerous things, run events, do all of those things. That's what the university and the foundation are about. They're about community involvement and bringing everybody together.
Yeah. And you mentioned a little bit about those unrestricted dollars going to operating costs and all that goes into that. Coming up in February, Give to DSU Week. Tell us a little bit about those events ahead.
Everybody knows we're a foundation that is just about 2 years old, and we're starting to get our feet on the ground. We're starting to make sure that our scholarships are continuous, and this is another way for us to help with some expenses. We're going to have hopefully a major event. It's a bike-a-thon, Sweating for Scholarships, and trying to get 20 to 30 teams of individuals come in, and 6 groups of 6 per team, and ride for 20 minutes each, and they go out and they have people that donate per mile, or just for them riding and just go to the cause. And they can ride for a student organization, they can ride for one of the departments, they can ride for an endowment, and those dollars could go, or they can ride for unrestricted, which I think the foundation will have an unrestricted account. We'll go through and we'll have our own team that helps to raise money so that we can continue to send out mailings to our alumni. Not everybody likes the digital, so they want something hard. That whole week is around 10 days. We'll have a calling tree happening and everything. The foundation board is going to be calling, very active with that. And we're going to have our students call. We're going to train our students in-house. Our students that are going to DSU are going to be calling our alumni, our donors, and they're going to be talking to them about everything. It might even be a thank you call. It might be an ask. But this is a time where not a lot of people want to do these giving days because it's in February, but this is a time where we need it. We want to do something different. Just because somebody else does it one way doesn't mean it's the right for everybody. So we're excited about the Giving Day, and then we go down to Arizona during that week, and we have an event in Mesa, Arizona, a golf event, and we meet with several people down there, and we'll have a presidential social down there, and just continue to reconnect with alumni around the nation.
Yeah, and how important is that event going down to Arizona to connect with people that, you know, may have been out of the loop for a couple of years, may have been wondering what's going on?
It's extremely important. The more we can get out and talk to people, the more we can go see people face to face, let them know, hey, Dickinson State is here. Dickinson State is doing this. Dickinson State went through a little adversity. Every university does. People forget that. Everybody in this nation that's at the university level has gone through pain, suffering, all those things. It was just our turn recently. Now we're fixing those problems, which if you can fix the problems, then things are good. And we're fixing those problems, we're repairing, we're becoming stronger. We didn't crumble at the base, we repaired, and now we're building better. So that's vital that we're out and about and we talk to people in Arizona, we go out and we talk to people around the nation. It's extremely important to continue to have people see our faces and know where we're at.
Yeah. Well, thanks very much. You know, like you said, lots of ways to connect with the foundation. Make sure you do that. Stop by the house sometime, say hello, or visit dsuheritagefoundation.org for all things on the centennial and that Give to DSU Day coming up in February. Keep your eye out for that. DSUBlueHawks.com for all things athletics. We're going to take a little break over the holidays here. We'll be back January 11th here on Consolidated Channel 18, talking about wrestling, talking about track, talking about the two basketball teams as they go on. But if you're missing us, make sure you go back. DSUBlueHawks.com has all of the Hawks from this year and last year if you're really looking to spend some holidays watching us. Everyone have a good holidays, Happy New Year, and Happy Centennial. We'll see you next year.